everybody, this is Skeet.
Mashin Mikey over here.
Rock and Roll Roundtable.
Ah, yeah, presented proudly by the good people at Moshman Media.
This week, music in sports.
Yeah. So I get to combine, I guess, two of my favorite things in the world with music and sports. And I think you got to go all the way back. If you really think about how integral music is in sports, because go back to your high school days. Okay, what do you remember about high school, say, football games? The marching band.
Uh, we didn't have
You
football, we had
you didn't,
basketball.
yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I'll go football for me because it was we had, especially my youngest daughter when they were in school and they were in the end zone and they had their own bleachers in the end zone and they would just play in between for timeouts. They would play when the team scored. They would play all day long. It didn't just play at halftime. They were there, so you always had something to listen to. And for you, you're talking about like basketball. For where I went to school, we had one of the best pep bands that you could have. I mean, it's like the music when the guys come out and they're doing their practice shots, their layups, this and that. There was always music. For us, it was the Harlem Globetrotters theme song. Sweet Georgia Brown would play, and then they would get into Long Train Running by the Doobie Brothers, and that's what you would hear with the guys warming up and doing all that stuff. So even in high school, it was all. And some bands have middle schools, some schools, and I'm like, I don't remember anything in middle school as far as a band, but high school was definitely any sport you were in, just about, except for maybe wrestling. I mean, they had it for the boys basketball, they had girls basketball, they would have football, of course. I mean, it was just like they always integrated the two, music and the sports. So as you go into college sports, it becomes a whole new ball game. If you look at the HBCUs of college sports, football especially, they get into elaborate band stuff. The colleges like Saginaw State and people down Moorhead State and the predominantly black colleges, but they really get into a lot of like modern day funk stuff and they jazz it up and they're ecstatical. But even outside of that, go to our state. What is Ohio State known for other than their football team? The
Yeah,
best damn band in the land.
yeah.
They do the whole script Ohio every show. They do a different kind of theme every year. But everybody loves it when it's not just like, okay, here's a waste of my time for a half hour. People are there just at some points to watch the band as much as the game, especially if like your kid's in the band. It was, and the guy does the back bend at the end to dot before he dots the thing with his head. He's got that big field commander, whatever he's called, drum major. He bends all the way backwards and touches his feather on the ground, and then you get the xylophone player that comes out there and gets to dot the I every. It's a big, it's a big deal at Ohio State, and it's like the band is as well known as anybody else I've ever seen,
Well,
and
I
it's
mean,
not
yeah,
just
you've got that. The high school, I mean, at our high school, they had the pep band, which was
right,
basically their marching band. Anybody in band could play up for the pep band, and
right,
they played it at all the home games. So I mean, we've been exposed to that stuff since school.
right.
So
It,
I mean, me, it's like, yeah, I wasn't a big sporto, so
right. Yeah, I know.
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, and I like wasn't into that type of music per se, but just to sitting at a basketball game, let's say in high school, it energized you a little bit because it's like, you had something to kind of, I loved Long Train Running. I didn't know that was the song until later. I
yeah,
remember it in high school, and then I found out it was a Doobie Brothers song, and I listened to the actual song. I thought, well, that song's pretty damn good. I like that song, even from the high school band.
yeah,
But and it's not even so much to me. It's not even about the music in high school. It was more about the energy it was given. People, the whole student section would get up and know dances to it, and chant to it, and use our team name, and even our fight song. The band would play our fight song, and we'd be singing along and doing all that stuff.
yeah,
And in college, like with Ohio State, it's a big thing. But I mean, it's not even just Ohio State. I mean, but most of the big, put it this way, most of the big sports football teams, anyway, I guess mostly football, but they have it in basketball for sure. But some of the stuff that these bands do, I mean, for Ohio State, it's "Hang On, Sloopy." Everybody knows "Hang." We do the OHIO thing, and but there's other colleges like Camp Randall, which is Wisconsin's home field. They get into like a certain point in the game, and they're usually all wearing red or white because they either have a white out or a red out in that stadium, and it's pretty cool to see, especially for night games. But they play jump around at like some point in the game by House of Pain, and the whole stadium is like up and down. It just no, you see 50, 60,000 people, and it's like okay, and it's an interesting twist on intimidation for the other team, I would think, but you can tell everybody's having a blast, and everybody's got like a song anymore. All these people are coming up with these songs that are kind of linked to them, and that's the one for Wisconsin. Then you go to a place like the Big House in Michigan. I think they play Mr. Brightside at some point by the Killers, and everybody knows the words. It's almost like their theme song for their school, but
yeah,
they learn these songs so they can sing at the end of the third quarter or whatever it is. And the one that gets me the most will blow your mind if you ever get a chance to watch it. Just go on YouTube or whatever and look at the entrance for Virginia Tech. Everything in the stadium goes dark, and all of a sudden, the beginning guitar riff for Enter Sandman starts. Okay, and it just they're all kind of standing there, sitting there, and when that first beat, the drums start and it's kind
yeah,
of rumbling for Enter Sandman, the whole stadium starts to kind of shake and jump, moving around. And when it kicks in to the actual Sandman part, where all the music kicks in together, is when the team comes out of the tunnel. And that place, I mean, it fucking blows up, dude.
yeah,
It's just, it adds so much energy to the game for me. And it's fun to be a part. That's why I go to games, is for parts of it like that, where you can get to see that. When I get to see Script Ohio, when I do get to see Enter Sandman, if I ever wanted to go watch that. So and it's big in college because these kids are rowdy. They're gonna pick behind the song and they're gonna want to do it. But I think it just goes hand in hand. If football and basketball, I guess, or we call it music and sports, but even in wrestling, they have walk-up songs now for college wrestling. It's like the WWE. when
Well,
they
and
had their call up music.
that's where they get that fucking idea from. Is they see the and how many times have you gone to see the Bengals since 1986, 87? And
Yeah. So
what's the fucking song that they're playing down at the Bengals
it, it,
Stadium?
it's always welcome to the jungle
That's
because
what I mean.
that's what they call the stadium. And
Yeah.
most teams and in football especially will play Hell's Bells on third down. It's like they at least play the bells part of Hell's Bells because it's like, okay, this is do or die situation. So you're playing Hell's Bells. But every time out they have, there's music. Every
Yeah.
TV timeout, there's music at the stadium. So
Well, but
it's kind of everywhere in most every sport. Now, I thought it was interesting, and I did not know that there's still two pro football teams that have marching bands. I did not know that. I
who?
looked this stuff up and I was like, Baltimore, I believe, Baltimore Ravens. And then the Seahawks, they have a drum line, like,
Old
that
school
that
drum
plays
line?
for them. Yeah. And they have guest drummers come in. They've had the Ray Lucier from Korn play with them. They've had Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers play with them. So it's like it kind of adds an element. Well, it's the same thing with like tomorrow's game as we're recording this. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They have a full blown halftime of what, half hour, an hour.
Yeah. Or
I mean, they're
20,
never
20 minutes to half an hour, right?
and it's never anybody good per se. I mean, there's been some great halftime shows. Prince's halftime show was still my favorite of all
Yeah,
time.
it was probably one of the best ones to date.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, most of them I don't really care for, but it's like it's still an elaborate thing they put on. But Prince was just phenomenally good anyway. And he did the whole Purple Rain guitar solo in that one. And it's like, yeah. So I mean, but I mean, football in itself is my favorite sport. Okay, so I mean, I'll talk about football before I go to anything else. But there's even teams I hate. I absolutely hate, like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a cool tradition now where they get ready to go into the fourth quarter. They play Renegade by Styx. It is
Nice.
pretty cool to watch. And it's pretty cool to watch. The whole crowd gets into it. They all know the words. The Buffalo Bills use Mr. Brightside by the Killers. Mr. Brightside's a very catchy song. You might not have ever heard it, but
Yeah,
it's a
I've heard
very
it.
catchy
Yeah,
song.
I've heard that one. I'm like,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that everybody knows the words and sings along, and you hear however many people fit in their stadium, all singing Mr. Brightside or all singing Renegade. Or at Virginia Tech, they're doing Enter Sandman. I mean, it's just added element for me. It's like people that are really big into, I don't know, cars, and they live for cars, and they go to and they say they're into cars and country music. Well, you go to a racetrack and they're playing country music. It just adds in, man. It's like going to a NASCAR race and hearing Hank Jr. It ties in with all these sports. And like we talked about wrestling, big time wrestling, the walk up song. You have that in the UFC. You have it in baseball. Christ, they have walk up songs for everybody that comes to bat in baseball now. So it's like
well,
it's even got more evolved than it used to be. I don't remember. Used to be that organ, doo doo doo
yeah.
doo. That
Well,
was it.
that's what they fucking had. So that's all you heard at games, and especially the baseball games. That's what I
Yeah,
do remember. So they always had an organist to play a little something while they were playing the fucking game. But it's when you're a kid or you're younger and you hear that music, you're like, okay, yeah, it's background noise at that point.
Yeah,
So
but even,
for me, it was after I got in high school. So in the '80s, they start adding songs that we heard on the radio, and of course, we were the Wildcats, so they added Stray Cat Strut, got played at every game. So to
yeah,
me, that made it cooler because at least it was songs of our time getting played by the pep band.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, that part was cool. So I don't know what they did in the '60s because that was before our time.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know
Were
what
they
they did
playing
back then.
traditional? Were they playing traditional stuff? Did they even have a fucking pep band? I don't know. But I mean,
I think they,
it's more relevant now because you've actually got songs that we either heard growing up or it's newer stuff. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, we always had stuff when I was a young kid, and that's early '70s. They had them because I'd go to the games and they'd play something, and I didn't know what the song was, and I still don't. But it would be a little tune, and everybody would go, SHS, which was our initials for our school, or
yeah,
Go Fight Win. It was like when we had the fight song that everybody knew. But you get into like the college and pro level, they kind of adopt what they want to adopt. I mean, they still have their theme songs, their fight songs. Like Ohio State has theirs
yeah,
marching down, and then they have the Carmen, Ohio. They do at the end of every game, win or lose. All the players get together. They sing Carmen, Ohio, which is like the theme song for the Ohio State Buckeye, and it's just a It's kind of a melancholy song. It's not. But it's something they do. It's a tradition. I think tradition, if you can find a cool tradition, like the Bengals are going to have Welcome to the Jungle, even though it's not been a relevant song for 40 years. It's the jungle. It's the whole persona of you're a Bengal cat. You're in the jungle and you're going to die. You come, they have the whole thing set up. But, and it's even with baseball, we were talking a little bit where the organist did the da 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 the charge. Everybody screams charge. Well, then they started getting into the tradition of really it was in Chicago where it started was the whole seventh inning take me out to the ball game, and all these people get the honor of singing this song at the Cubs games, and some of them aren't very good at all, but nobody gives a shit. They just don't care because it's a tradition. It's an honor to get to sing that song in Wrigley Field for the Cubs. And also they throw in, they always throw in we've always had the national anthem has been a big thing for any sporting event. You usually start by singing national anthem. So music's kind of always been there. And then baseball, it even goes to the point where it's the seventh inning stretch. They sing God Bless America. So it's even through the whole thing, there's music of some sort. And you wonder what it would be like. I always kind of wondered in my mind what it would be like if there was no music in sports at all. Wouldn't that just be boring as shit?
oh yeah,
I mean, I really think that I miss a lot of it if it wasn't there. So yeah, I mean, thinking about what it would be like would be kind of a mundane. Say, I don't think I could watch sports as much. My sport, I'm a football, baseball kind of guy. I'm not really field hockey, lacrosse, any of that stuff. So I don't think those sports are big enough and really need it to be a part of every day that sports is there. But definitely the big sports. I mean, the NFL is probably the biggest. I would say they're the biggest sports league in the world, and they don't even compare really to what you get when you're watching a soccer match, for God's sakes. And that's not even so much music. That's just people singing. They
yeah.
sing on their own. It's like a big a cappella festival over there. but it's rowdy as hell. But you add music to soccer over here in Major League Soccer, we add music. It just intensifies it, but you don't play it like during the match, but you're in between times, intermission, and all that stuff. It's kind of like ice hockey. Ice hockey plays it, when you got a downtime for any reason. And I like the ones where the refs, in hockey, you let them fight. If they're getting into a fight, you just let them go. And they'll play some ominous music sometimes in the background, like Rocky, the theme from Rocky. I get that a lot, or Eye of the Tiger plays when they're getting ready to throw down, and it's like it's funny, but it would be boring without it for me. You got these cams that go around and they look for look-alike people, and they got music playing for all that. Pro basketball, they always got somebody on a video that gets up and starts dancing in the aisles when they play CNC Music Factory or something ridiculous. And they're already dressed up. They got weird outfits on in just about every sport. But music just to me, it adds so much more enjoyment for me to watch. Because somebody dancing like a fool with no music playing would be kind of stupid looking.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't care that it's not heavy metal or rock or whatever. It could be CNC Music Factory. I don't give a crap, but just
So
to watch them dancing.
do you think they do a good job of song choices? Well, especially, I'm mainly talking with the pro stuff, because with like pep bands or the college bands, you know, it's cool that they have all the instruments like a marching band and performs the songs. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, I've seen that for a long time, and they usually do a pretty good job of playing these popular songs with a high school band, college band type deal. I mean, they sound good. You could tell it's a song and all that
yeah.
stuff. But how do you feel about the pros actually getting the rights to those songs? I mean, what is that? Do you think they have a good choice? Do you think some of them are lame? I mean, what's the fuck? What's the deal?
Well, some of them. I mean, some of them. There's bands that have or teams that have license for songs. I'm sure the Bengals have something. Welcome to the Jungle's pretty fitting. And I say that they can play that pretty much. They probably had a deal with them for a long time that they could use that song over and over and over again. I like it better when they do modern day stuff. I mean, yeah, your old theme songs are great. Every team in the NFL has a fight song. The Bengals have a fight song. And there's people that I go to the games, they're standing beside me singing the thing word for word. I've been to 10, 20 Bengals games in my life, more than that maybe. And I don't know any of it. I barely know any of the words to that. It doesn't appeal to me as much as Welcome to the Jungle,
Yeah,
because but I still remember my high school fight song because it was, all we had. That's what we had was our stuff. Our fight song was the big thing. But you can name about any team in the NFL. They have a song that they call their own, like I've talked about with Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Philadelphia's got "Fly Eagle Fly." It's a made up song, but they still have it made to modern music now. Back in the '80s, I remember when I was in school still. I remember the Chicago Bears they actually put a song out called the Super Bowl Shuffle.
yeah.
And it was actually on the charts and stuff as a hit song. But I mean, think about it. You go to Philadelphia for something, you're not going to hear Rocky Balboa theme there. I mean, come on, you're going to. Just the original Rocky, that instrumental part. But everybody's going to know because Rocky was Philadelphia. It associates with Philadelphia. It's kind of like going to a San Francisco Giants game in baseball. They play Don't Stop Believing. That's their thing. And Steve Perry was at a game I saw this past summer. He was up there just singing along with everybody else. And it's like, so, but that whole crowd's going crazy for that because, Journey, they're from San Francisco. So it really comes down to where, you're from, where your team is at. Like go to a college Tennessee game one time. What song do you think you're going to hear 100 times that day?
Rocky
You're going to hear
Top.
Rocky Top. You're going to hear Rocky Top like you won't believe. And I know when they came up to Columbus for the game they had, the playoff game we just had, they were invaded all over the place. You go to a bar in Columbus the night before, and all you heard was Rocky Top. And it's like, that's their deal, man. That's part of their allure, I guess you would say. And every team has that. Every team has something that's music related that connects them with their city, wherever their school is, or the people that live there. I mean, I like Rocky Top, for God's sakes. It makes you almost, well, it'd be kind of cool to be a Tennessee fan, go to a Tennessee game, just because you hear it there. You hear it at Tennessee's pro games. Rocky Top is kind of like the theme song for the state of Tennessee, I guess. But it's very cool to have that many people singing that at one time.
Yeah.
It's very cool. It's kind of like West Virginia when they do country roads. The whole
Yeah.
crowd singing John Denver. It's kind of fucking cool. And you almost wish I always wish Ohio State had something like that. I mean, do I like Hang On Sloopy? Sure. It's an Ohio band that made a song and it got popular way back when. And we use it. We do the whole hand signals in it and shit. But man, it'd be cool to have a song like freaking Country Roads that's that like iconic and could sing along. It'd be like a Boston Red Sox game where they play Sweet Caroline. That's Boston Red Sox. Carolina Panthers also use it because of the name, Sweet Caroline. It's in Carolina. There's so many cool little intricate meanings behind these songs. But you go to New York, you're going to hear New York stuff. Ace Frehley with New York Groove. You're going to hear that at some of the New York games. Or New York State of Mind by Billy Joel. You're going to hear it at certain sports games. Detroit's got Kiss. They got Detroit Rock City for the Detroit stuff. They also use Motown as part of some of their teams use Motown. Some of them probably use Ted Nugent or Kid Rock or Eminem. Eminem's a big one. A lot of sports teams with Lose Yourself. I mean, it's one of those things that it builds up and starts out slow. And then when he starts rapping heavy, everybody in the crowd goes crazy. Kid Rock has the same thing with Ball with a Ball.
Yeah.
It's like insane. Go down to Texas, they do the whole deep in the heart of Texas stuff, and then the stars at night are shining bright deep in the heart. They
Yeah.
do that shit, but it's like it hypes you up, even if you could care less about the song. It's everybody doing it together. So it was always a dream of mine that being in the bands. I just wanted one time to be able to look out and see people actually singing the words. You know, But to hear 60,000 people doing it would be unreal. And even if you're a band that's not playing in the concert, but your music's playing at a stadium, and you see people dancing, and I mean, Mr. Brightside wasn't a big, huge hit, I didn't think. But Christ, a big college and a big pro team use it as like their anthem song. To me, that would be pretty cool. I would think even using a wrestler's walkout or a UFC guy's walkout to have my music doing that, that's got to be a rush for the music people too. You would think.
Yeah.
I mean, "Slow
Well,
Ride" by Foghat, that's been used a million times in sports.
I mean, I've got a list. Uh, what is it? 50 official state songs, and a lot of them are just Alabama for Alabama, Arizona
Yeah,
for Arizona. Uh, Connecticut is Yankee Doodle. Let me see, Georgia,
yeah,
Georgia on my mind.
for the
Uh,
state song, yeah.
for this, yeah. So I mean,
But like Alabama football or baseball or basketball, they all use Dixieland Delight. You know, it's
yeah.
just like they have a song that they kind of resonate to. Now, I mean, as far as Ohio goes, I don't even know what our state song is. I wouldn't have a clue.
Oh, I just fucking had it.
No, I thought you went. I figured you'd go down to Ohio and at least see what it was. But
Yeah, it's stupid.
yeah, it probably is. Yeah, I'm sure.
Uh,
But
it's beautiful Ohio.
oh, okay.
But
I
that's
have
but
heard the
that's
song.
that's I looked for the theme songs for all the states because it I
Right.
figured let's see what actually for some of these states. Tennessee's got two, three, four, five, six. So they've got six different songs.
Yeah.
But that's just the theme for the state. That's not
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not for the sports teams. I guess I should look up the
Well, I
themes
mean,
for sports
y-
teams.
yeah, you can do. I mean, I had it at one time. I might still have my list, but I thought I might have put it on my iPad. At one time, I'd had a list of sports stuff, but I might have put it. Yeah, I think I did put it on my iPad, so I don't have it here. But you know, I mean, states and you kind of go because you go out to Washington. I'm guaranteeing there's bands that have either Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Soundgarden. So one of those grunge bands is going to be on somebody's playlist for a sports team. There's no way you can live in Washington State or Oregon and not have some kind of grunge be around, and be quite evident. Now California has what? Californication you could play. That I'm sure has been played at sports stadium. I talked about "Don't Stop Believing." You have that. San Diego, I don't know what theirs would be, but I bet it has some kind of Mexican theme to it because they're right on the border.
Well,
Wouldn't surprise me if they had like Lowrider. I've heard that song used
yeah.
multiple times
Well,
in sport.
I've got a list here, the 51 best pump up songs for sports.
Yeah, like what's some of the songs? I can tell you if I know the team or not.
I have
I
the
might be able to
Tigers
do that.
survive. This is just the actual songs to get everybody
Yeah.
pumped up. So you got Seven Army Nation, White
Oh,
Stripes,
yeah, 7. Yeah, you're going to hear that a lot at games. Yeah. I
uh,
think
re,
that is a big one for a
re,
lot of them.
Remember the Name, Fort Minor in 2005 was one. Thunderstruck.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think about Thunderstruck. That's been used a lot.
There's your Jump Around from
Yeah.
House of
Jump around.
Pain.
House Pain.
Till I Collapse by Eminem.
That one I don't. I'm sure if
Yeah.
I heard it, I would know. But yeah, I remember "Lose Yourself" a lot as far as
Stronger.
teams.
Stronger by Kanye West.
Okay.
We Will Rock You from Queen. Everybody knows that one.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's used that too. They use it at some point.
Crazy Train from Ozzy.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see
Final
now.
Countdown. Final Countdown from Europe.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, but I don't know that
Sleep,
I've heard it.
sleep now in the fire.
Oh, Rage Against the Machine. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Lose yourself. You mentioned that earlier.
yeah,
Back
yeah.
in Black.
Of course, yeah,
Party up in here.
yeah,
DMX.
yeah. I
Killing,
could hear that too.
killing in the name of.
Yeah, that beginning part I think has played a lot of basketball games. I've heard it played a lot of basketball.
Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't Hold Us by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis featuring Ray Dalton.
Don't know that one, but that might be a Baltimore kind of thing. I think they're from Baltimore, so that would be something for like represent them. We Are Family by Sister Sledge. That was a big one for the Pittsburgh Pirates back in the day. I
Oh,
remember that.
nice. Bodies, Drowning Pool.
Of course, yeah.
Uh,
Probably a good one for a UFC, I would say.
Pump It Up by the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, let's get it started by them. I could see doing that too.
Get
Party of Pink, whatever that song she had about get the party started. I've heard that at definitely at sports events before.
Welcome to the Jungle, Guns N' Roses, of course.
Yeah.
Made of Scars, Stone Sour.
Yeah, yeah, I know it is. Uh,
Before I Forget, Slipknot.
yeah, yeah. Man, that's more than I even remembered writing down there.
Well,
I had
this was
notes
the
wrong.
51 best pump up songs. Enter
Yeah.
Sandman.
Enter Sandman's a big one, yeah.
Hate to Say I Told You So by the Hives.
Mm.
The Power, Snap. Can't Stop, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah. Yeah.
All My Life, Foo Fighters. The Middle,
Yeah.
Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one there.
Oh,
That's played at timeouts, I've heard.
Sabotage by the Beastie Boys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
You'll hear those like if you're at a sport game and they have the media timeout, they call them. And you'll hear a lot of those songs that you're talking about. Just, I mean, they don't always play "Welcome to the Jungle" at like a Bengals game, so they mix it up with a lot of those songs you're saying right there. It's
Yeah.
just to
Jump,
keep you jump.
criss, crisscross, jump,
Oh
jump,
yeah,
jump,
Mac,
jump,
Daddy, make
jump,
you
yeah,
jump, jump.
jump.
Yeah,
Break Stuff, Limp Bizkit.
of course, of course.
Oh, Kickstart My Heart, Motley Crue.
Yeah,
I've
the
heard that
beginning
more at
especially.
races, like NASCAR races. They'll fucking play that, right?
Well, I've heard it at a baseball game one time, and it was funny because the guy was getting ready to pitch, and the guy up in the air must have made a mistake. The guy's in his windup, getting ready to throw the ball, and it comes up that whoa, and fucking he threw the ball in the ground. That guy got his ass chewed out. The guy that was running the PA because it scared the hell out of him. He threw it right in the ground.
uh, got Forever, Drake, Kanye West, Lil Wayne, Eminem. Song 2 by Blur.
Oh yeah, woohoo!
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, that would make sense now. Uh, Turned Down for What? DJ Snake and Little John.
Oh yeah, turned down for what?
No.
I was surprised Juvenile ain't on there. Move, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it is. Like, I'm sure they have a foul or a penalty or something at one of those games. You'll probably hear that pop on there. Yeah. Ooh, bitch, get out the way. I'm sure that's got to be in there somewhere, you know.
I'm on 40 now. My songs Know What You Did in the Dark, Light 'Em Up by Fall Out Boy. That's number 40.
Oh, light them up. Yeah, my daughter, when we was in high school, used to use that. Light them up, up, up. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
I'm shipping up to Boston. Dropkick Murphys.
There you go. That's a Boston thing. That's New England, Boston, any of that. They're going to play that.
Crawling in the Dark by Hoobastank.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, you don't? It was a bad. It was a badass song. It was more
Okay.
of a. Wasn't like the reason. It was a mover.
Okay. Sandstorm by Darude.
That one I don't know. A
It's
lot of
an
these are probably.
instrumental. It's an
I'd have
instrumental.
to hear it. Yeah, I'd have to hear it.
Uh, Foo Fighters, The Pretender.
Uh huh. Oh yeah.
Oh, The Distance by Cake.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We're
Yeah, I
going
love
the
it when they play the.
distance.
I love it when they play that song, man. It's like that's one of my favorite. That's like a guilty pleasure song for me. That band actually. I mean, I think they've got some good stuff. So yeah, I mean, but
Uptown Funk.
yeah, that's a newer one. They used to do Uptown Girl too by Billy Joel. You'd hear that. It's just something that everybody knows and will sing. A lot of this, hip hop and rap stuff is what a lot of people listen to now. But guys my age, we still prefer the, We Will Rock Yous and the
Yeah,
Thunderstrucks and Eye of the Tiger. Even I mean, as many times as that's been played, it's still cool to hear. But
yeah. Well,
I'm a
I've got a few more to go. So let's go.
okay.
They've got 47. Whoop, there it is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Started
Oop,
from the
there it is.
Bottom by Drake.
Don't know that. Don't know that one. They got Who Let the Dogs Out in there?
Uh, POD. No,
Ah, which one?
no.
Here Comes the Boom.
Boom,
Yeah, yeah,
boom.
that's
Yep.
that's like MMA, I think, and shit. They could use that in really.
Yeah.
Had that
Uh,
movie. There was a movie about that. Had that.
yeah. Kevin James had that, didn't it? That was the song
Yeah,
they had
yeah,
in that.
yeah.
Fight Song by Rachel Platten. No fucking
Don't
clue.
know that one.
Bleed It Out by Linkin Park. That was the last one they
Yeah,
had.
I've heard that. Now, I didn't even think about it. My neighbor up to the Mistake by the Lake up there. They had Cleveland Rocks for a long time. I mean, but they use Who Let the Dogs Out because they're called the Dogs. It's the Dog Pound. So those two I remember getting played a lot up there. So, but I mean, I think if you live near a big school or a big city with sports teams, you're going to have something that in Miami, I'm sure has like the theme from Miami Vice or something. You don't know. There's probably songs for every stadium. But I've never been to a lot of these. I've been to Pittsburgh, so I knew about Renegade. I've been to Cleveland, so I know about that. I've been to Ohio State games and Michigan and shit like that. But I'm sure that if anybody would comment, if you're living somewhere else than Ohio, definitely let us know what they play there but some of the cooler ones I saw was Virginia Tech Center Sandman.
Yeah.
Definitely jump around in Wisconsin and probably the biggest one is Rocky Top for me. I mean, just that place goes ballistic when they play Rocky Top. They have
Well,
pride in being Tennesseans. I'll tell you that.
yeah.
And I don't
Well,
blame them. I'm proud to be Ohio, but I mean that we don't have a song that cool. We got good songs, but we don't have one that cool. So
well, I mean, and internationally, like you said, there's soccer. There's people that are in Canada and the UK that might check out this show too. What kind
yeah,
of does your sporting events have the same kind of deal as like some of the professional sports we have here in the states? Let
yeah,
us know.
yeah.
That
I'd
I
like
would
to
that would be
like
cool.
to know that. Yeah, because I mean, I wonder if the NFL when it because we've been playing a lot of games overseas in the NFL. I wonder if the music translates or if they have their own thing because if you ever watch like a World Cup or a soccer match over there, the crowd doesn't stay quiet at all, ever,
Oh God, no,
ever.
no.
And it's like, I mean, do they just have chants they make up, or is there music playing somewhere that I don't know about? Because I don't really think I've ever hear music. I just hear like chants that are made up, and they sing it all match long, and
Yeah,
it's cool. It's very cool, but it's also, I wonder if it translates from our sports to over there when they hear the music, if they like it or rather not hear music during their, it's one of those things. Canada, I think they're probably more in tune with us, but I don't know about Canadian Football League. I don't know if they have that there. But like their hockey, I'm sure they do because, they're integrated kind of with America because their hockey teams play in our, National Hockey League.
yeah, yeah,
So, and I'm sure down south there's a lot more, I don't know, hometown feeling stuff in Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi. There's probably all kinds of stuff that I'm missing. I mean, I wrote down a bunch, and I think I got all the ones I actually wrote down. But I just think it was just an interesting kind of sidebar subject for me. Uh, there's sports, of course, that don't have music, like tennis, golf, stuff like that. Man, your biggest sports in the world are all kind of linked in with sports. So I mean, maybe that's why I'm a sports fanatic too. I don't know, but it definitely combines two of my favorite things. I mean, you throw some Subway in there, and
well, jeez,
that's my things. Subway sub and at a football game with music playing, I'm pretty much set.
yeah.
Have a beer or two, maybe trifecta plus one. So yeah, I just thought it was something I'd thought about in my past, and I kind of thought having a discussion about mixing them. I knew you weren't the sportier type that I was, but I get it out of my head. You
Yeah.
so, people out there might watch, they might be big sports guys too. So definitely let us know what your song is from your favorite sporting event, team, state you live in, whatever.
Well,
Because
I mean,
I find it interesting.
it is nice that through technology and how we've advanced that you could you know have actual popular music, rock and roll music, whatever, at a
Yeah.
lot of these functions and not have to just rely on an actual band to play. I mean, that's traditionally how it always went, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, some of these, even the pros have some people like they have something in Cleveland where they have a guest every week that's in the dog pound and plays music. Like when
Yeah,
my brother-in-law went to a game and it was Zach Wild.
yeah,
He played the Star Spangled Banner at the beginning on the guitar, and he was jamming out in the dog pound during the timeouts with the people in the crowd. So it's like that just makes it cooler for me.
well,
And
that would make it cooler for me to want to go to a game because I don't, I'm
yeah,
like, I'm indifferent to most sporting events. I
right.
used to watch it. I don't anymore because I'm like, you know,
It's yeah, and
for whatever
believe me,
reason. But it is cool that they're trying to get more interest into it and using music. So
yeah. The only reason I would go to a sporting event at this time in my life and age and all that is it for the atmosphere. And the team is great, the sport's great, the people around you are cool and everything. The music just adds it, accentuates it. Because when the Welcome to the Jungle starts, they're getting ready to kick off, and it's the hype up feeling. You feel like, come on, fuckers, don't let me down, and it's like you just want to rip somebody's head off when you're hearing "Welcome to the Jungle" in the fourth quarter and the fourth down and goal to go, and you have to have it to win, and they blare that on the speakers during the timeout right before you come back to win the game. It's one of them things. They kind of go hand in hand for me. And I think a lot of people probably, I mean, they wouldn't have it if a lot of people didn't feel the same way.
Yeah,
It adds to your experience of the sporting event itself. So even though I won't like the halftime show for Super Bowl, it's still pretty cool to see what they come up with now. Depending, I ain't gonna care tomorrow. It's just not my type of singer, but you know, maybe our friend TT will show up and be a guest star in it. The Swifties might like that. I don't know. Hey, we'll
yeah.
see what happens. This
Uh,
guy is like the biggest rap star in the world right now, so I think it'll be should be a pretty elaborate show or whatnot. I'm just there for the commercials this time. So
yeah.
yes,
I don't even care. I mean,
I don't care either.
I think I'd rather watch the Puppy Bowl this year than all that bullshit that they've got going on over there at the NFL right now. So, without
Yeah,
getting, you know,
yeah,
bringing
we're
all
not.
that shit up.
I mean, I'm a Bengals fan. I'm going to be butthurt. My team's not in it, so it's just yeah. I'll watch it because I love football, but I'll be more interested in the commercials and probably see what the halftime show's about. It just to see what kind of craziness goes on, which usually something does. So,
Yeah.
but it goes hand in hand. Music and sports. What are you gonna do? It makes it better. I
Well,
can't wait for some hard metalcore to be involved. I haven't really got there yet. We haven't gotten that far yet. We're not
well,
evolved yet.
if you were going to get that, I would say you would get that more in like your MMA and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there might be some in that. I mean, I don't watch a lot of pay-per-views on like for MMA, so there might be more than I know. I mean, I watch like usually clips of the stuff. I don't want to pay $50 or whatever, but yeah, I'm sure there's more than I know out there.
Yeah.
I mean, Motorhead did at WWE for God's sake. That was a big step up, I thought. So
Well,
it's pretty cool.
yeah, that all that part's cool when especially some of your bands are performing for some of this stuff. So
Yeah,
that's about the coolest part about it for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it is whatever. So it's like, yeah, yeah. Make sure you hit us up and let us know where your what your team's theme song is or where you're from, and if you give a shit about sports. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I love my sports. I love music the most, but sports is right there. It makes it perfect combination for me. So
Well,
that's
you
all I
ready to
got
wrap it up
for
this week,
this.
Mikey?
Yeah, that's all I got for this one.
All right. This is Skeet.
Russian Mikey.
See ya.
Peace out.